We have breaking news. The Bills have signed Cameron Dantzler, a 6'2", 188-pound corner, to a one-year deal. Dantzler is in the same mold as Levi Wallace. Tall, thin, excels in off coverage, and has a fair share of plays on the ball. He's racked up 13 pass breakups, forced 3 fumbles, and 3 interceptions over the last 3 seasons. So let's dive into some of his film to show you what he brings to the Buffalo Bills. Let's start out with his tackling, whether it's versus the run or versus the pass. Here he is, top of the screen, filling versus the run, nub tight end set. So the tight end's in line, you see Dantzler come right into that C gap and make the tackle on the big running back from the Packers, A.J. Dillon. Here it is from the end zone angle, filling that C gap. He's a willing tackler. Now, his technique isn't always on point. Sometimes he'll drop his head and won't wrap up. But more times than not, he's a willing tackler. He'll come down versus run or versus the pass. Like you see here, zone, off coverage. He sees that wide receiver push crack to the safety as the Eagles run a pin and pull run with their quarterback. He comes from depth to fill and make the tackle on Jalen Hurts. Here's another one, off coverage, empty set, quick pass, just a stop route to Devontae Smith. Look at him come from depth, attack, wrap up, and make the tackle. Very, very willing tackler in Dantzler. Teams also like to run a lot of screens versus him in the Vikings because they played so much zone, so much off coverage. I think he was in zone coverage like 51% of the time. So a lot of these passes underneath, like screens, stops, speed outs, were always there against the Vikings. And once again, you see him come up, click and close, avoid that block, and cut that wide receiver down. Bottom of the screen, play action pass. The quarterback's going through his progressions, working from top of the screen to the bottom. Essentially checks it down to a security blanket, the running back. Dantzler, once again, comes up and trips up the running back there. But you can see on this one, his tackling technique isn't good. I like the click and close. I like the recognition. But you want to see him run through this a little more and wrap that up. Because if the running back breaks that arm tackle, he's going to get the first down. Top of the screen, another zone coverage here. You see him come up, become that cloud corner. There's 4 eligible receivers to the top of the screen. They're trying to get him to pinch inside versus these 3 receivers so that they can widen and space him out horizontally. But you can see him read it quite quickly, come downhill, and make the tackle on the running back. So when it comes to recognizing plays in zone coverage, especially from off coverage, he's very good at coming downhill and making the tackle versus running backs, versus wide receivers on screen plays, and even against the run. Here's another example of that. 3 eligibles to the top of the screen. They try to space him out with this spacing concept. He does a good job of waiting out the running back coming out of the backfield, stepping up and making that tackle. I really like this play against the Eagles here. Watch him bottom the screen, space this out really nicely, get his hands on that number 1, hinge, gain depth as they try to get the tight end on a corner out behind him, gain depth. It's a nice throw and catch for that matter, but then watch Dantzler stay in the play and rip the ball out for the pass breakup. Tremendous zone spacing, technique, eyes, and then play at the catch point by Dantzler. Here it is from the end zone angle. Just really good stuff from him. As I said, he makes a lot of plays on the ball. And a lot of the times when he does, it's in these zone coverages. And he's just always staying in the play and trying to rip the ball out, punch the ball out at the catch point. Here's another pass breakup, bottom of the screen, 3-by-1 formation. Dantzler versus a tight end. Does a great job of catching the tight end and then making a play on the ball at the catch point, using his arms to get in there and punch that ball out. A lot of people think because he's 6'2", he has long arms, but he actually has sub 31-inch arm length. He's got short arms, but he's just tall. And when he can play like this, where he comes downhill as a cloud corner, end zone coverage, and gets a good read of these quick plays, these quick routes, quick slants, especially to the middle of the field, he can make a play on the ball. He's very good in that contact box, within that 5 yards. Here you see it, short yardage situations like this, one-on-one, catches the wide receiver, and then goes and makes a play on the ball at the catch point, which is very disruptive when he's allowed to play that cloud corner, soft press coverage, allowing him to get his hands on the wide receiver. This one, he's in off coverage, and he just breaks up this pass intended for A.J. Green. He makes a lot of plays on the ball on in-breaking routes like you see here. Look at him drive inside and punch the ball out with his left hand. Nice play by him. Here it is from the end zone angle. Makes a lot of plays over the middle of the field, which is a big thing in the Bills defense, defending the middle of the field. Look at him once again, making a play at the catch point, this time on that 45 angle break by A.J. Green. Here's another one. You can see he is in extremely off coverage here, off and soft. Breaks on it. The ball's a little behind this wide receiver, but great work at the catch point of punching it out right there at the end of that to cause the incompletion. So many pass breakups on in-breaking routes, especially from off coverage. This should be completed quite easily. It's an inaccurate throw, and Dantzler makes that quarterback pay by punching it out on the back hip of that wide receiver. Here's another pass that is slightly inaccurate, and Dantzler almost makes the interception on this play from off coverage. He should have made that quarterback pay on that one. Here's an interception on an in-breaking route. Looks like a matchup zone type coverage. He breaks on the in-breaking route to the tight end and beats that tight end to the spot for the interception. That's a really nice read and break on the ball. Pass probably should have been a little sooner, but he beats the tight end right to the spot. This is from 2021. He's in the slot here. You can see him communicate to his teammates that the wide receiver is coming across, passes him on, and then watch him get his eyes on the next threat that's coming into his zone, and then he jumps it for the interception. Tremendous zone awareness on this play. Great job of communicating, finding the threat on this shallow drag concept where the wide receiver is hooking it up over the middle. Great work by Dantzler on this play. Watch it from the end zone angle. Coming into your frame from the right side. Look at him read the quarterback. And then as the delivery starts, he jumps it for the interception. Here's a 4-strong formation, so 4 eligibles to the bottom of the screen right there. He's essentially one-on-one with CeeDee Lamb to the top. Off coverage. He's not threatened deep, so he can play top down. It's a little stop route from Lamb. He breaks on it. And once again, late in the play, late in the route, gets his arm in there to punch the ball out to force the incompletion. Here's a play where he breaks it up late in the play, late in the route, late in the progressions. Roethlisberger is running a sprint out to his right, comes all the way back across the field. Dantzler stays in the play, jumps over the top of Claypool to break that pass up. Here's another one, split field safety look. Hurts is trying to push it vertically to the post. You can see Dantzler almost undercuts that for the interception. So he does a great job in off coverage, does well in the contact box, but he also does a great job at the catch point, at that moment of truth of breaking up passes. All right, let's get into some of the negatives, some of the areas of opportunity. Top of the screen, teams are going to prey on his willingness to jump those in-breaking routes. You can see a really nice route here from Lamb with multiple breaks. And this is where you see some of the issues with Dantzler, the change of direction. It's not the most efficient, not the smoothest. It's a little choppy at times. His footwork is inefficient at times. And so teams will run routes with multiple breaks, and then you can see there's some wasted footwork at the top of these, stop routes. especially when he is threatened deep because he doesn't want to get beat deep. He lacks that long speed. And you can see there's some wasted footwork here. This is third down. It's a stop route. It's completed. This is versus DeAndre Hopkins, outside leverage. Hopkins slightly stems this inside, showing vertical, and then a speed out. And you could see the transition. It's just not quite there, even from off coverage. It's not horrible, but you could see there's a hitch in that transition. And this shows up consistently in his film, and that creates separation for wide receivers. Watch the break to the top of the screen. This is versus a tight end. This is just a stop route. So part of this is processing and route recognition. And part of this is the physical. It's the lack of change of direction or agility. This one, there's just some wasted footwork again at the top. He's not the twitchiest athlete. He's not able to break on it to make that throw a contested reception. You'll see that show up again on this play, bottom of the screen, off coverage, simple stop route. He's going to plant and he slips. You know, that's going to happen to anyone. But I will say, watch this recovery. He goes, that wide receiver throws him to the ground after he slips, and then watch him come back into play and rip that ball out. That's the type of fight you want in your player. You don't want him to give up on the play. This is the fourth quarter here. He got beat multiple times on this play, but he kept his head in the game, kept his head in the play, and he ripped that ball out and gave the ball back to his offense. Watch it from the end zone angle. Gets thrown down right there, and then watch him get back in there and take the ball back. I love that. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some, but when you do lose, keep your head in the play and go make a play like that. Finally, his long speed, I've alluded to it a few times, top of the screen. Now, he is credited with a pass breakup here, but that's because the ball hits him in the back of the helmet here. You can see the wide receiver stems inside, fakes an out route, and then gets deep, stacks him, has him beat. The ball is just underthrown here. He just doesn't have that long speed you like from a corner. I think he ran the 40 in 4.64 seconds, so he does worry about guys getting behind him. And so you're going to see this happen time and time. He's going to open, and the tight end just gets in his blind spot. So he's worried about transitioning, getting open, and getting vertical and not getting beat deep. So guys will get into his blind spot like you see here. Those are just easy receptions for talented receivers like Andrews. Hopkins does it here, pushes vertically just outside the numbers. Look, he's going to be running that goal ball. See him get vertical and then snap it off, get into that blind spot. So that happens from time to time with Dantzler. Bottom of the screen here, he gets the pass breakup. Does a good job of squeezing this route, though. But that wide receiver is also not running 100%. He kind of lets up right there, expecting the 50-50 throw, maybe back shoulder. But that quarterback throws it down the field, and he's there to make a play on it. So kudos to him on that. But vertical speed, long speed, that's what he lacks. But luckily, the Bills have tremendous safeties in Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer to help if Dantzler was to make the roster and ever play. Because you don't want him one-on-one like this cover 3 look where he gets toasted deep for the touchdown. That long speed can be an issue if he doesn't get his hands on the guy early in the route, if he doesn't read it properly, if he has to transition late with that guy even with him. Because if that guy's even with him, that guy's leaving him for the touchdown like this play. All right, guys, thanks for tuning into that film room feature on cornerback Cameron Dantzler. Please make sure to smash that like button, leave us a comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I am Eric Turner, host of the Film Room, owner of Cover One. Until our next breakdown, go Bills.